All right, let's talk about gold, because something really, really weird is going on. Its price isn't just climbing, it's exploding in a way that has pretty much everyone who follows this stuff scratching their heads. So today, we're going to dig in and try to solve this golden mystery.
And to see just how weird this is, you've got to look at the numbers. For 40 years, gold was this respectable, kind of boring asset. It would give you about a 6.5% return a year. Steady. But the last 5 years, it's been averaging almost 20%. That isn't just a hot streak, it's a total personality change for an asset that's supposed to be safe and predictable.
And our source material had this quote that it nails the feeling perfectly. This surge isn't some calm, rational climb. It feels aggressive, kind of frantic, like it has this wild energy behind it. This is definitely not your grandfather's gold market anymore.
Right, so this isn't just market jitters or random noise. The asset that's meant to be the quiet, safe corner of your portfolio is suddenly putting up superstar numbers. And that tells you there's a really powerful hidden force at work here, and we're about to find out what it is.
Now, whenever gold prices go nuts, the first thing everyone screams is inflation. And it makes sense, right? Your dollars buy less, so you run to gold to protect your wealth. But this time, the obvious answer just doesn't quite fit.
I mean, just think about it for a second. If gold was purely reacting to prices going up, it should have gone to the moon back in 2021. That's when inflation was really biting, when everyone was talking about gas prices and grocery bills. But it didn't.
And when you look at the timeline, the whole inflation argument just falls apart. 2021, peak inflation, gold's price was basically flat. The real surge, the one hitting all-time highs, that only started recently. So yeah, inflation is in the background, but it is not the main event here. Something else is going on.
And that something else is, frankly, a lot more unsettling. It doesn't point to some short-term market trend. It points to a huge, quiet shift happening at the very top of the global financial food chain.
So, if it's not the usual suspects, who's behind all this? Well, it's the people who run the world's money, central banks. These are the institutions that manage entire national economies, and it looks like they are quietly pivoting away from the asset they've trusted for decades.
And to get why this is such a huge deal, you need to understand this one concept, the global reserve currency. For about 80 years, that's been the US dollar. It's the bedrock of international trade. It's the ultimate safe place to park your money, or at least it was.
Just look at the numbers here. 20 years ago, about 70% of all the reserves held by central banks around the world were in US dollars. Today, that's down to 58%. Now, a 12-point drop might not sound like a catastrophe, but in the slow-moving world of global finance, that's an earthquake. We're talking trillions of dollars moving out of the dollar. But this isn't some messy public breakup. It's subtle. Like this quote says, it's like they're quietly saying, hey, we're not dumping you, but we are starting to see other people. They're diversifying, trying not to spook the markets, and they're putting all that money in one very specific place.
And that place is gold. For 3 years in a row, central banks have been buying over 1,000 tons of gold per year. I mean, the scale of that is just staggering. It's a massive coordinated move back into the oldest safe haven asset in the world.
And to put that in perspective, this recent buying spree is more than double the average of the entire last decade. This isn't just an uptick. It's literally a record-breaking buying frenzy by the most powerful financial players on the planet.
So, what is this? It's not just a strategy. It's institutional anxiety. It's a clear signal that the people managing the world's economies are getting nervous. They're worried about U.S. debt, about future inflation, and about having all their eggs in one basket. Gold is their insurance policy.
Okay, but here's where the story gets really, really weird. All this anxiety from the world's most powerful banks is happening at the exact same time that the stock market is showing record levels of optimism. It makes no sense.
The market is sending two completely opposite signals at the exact same time. On one hand, you've got stocks at all-time highs. That's the risk-on confidence trade. People are betting big on the future. But on the other hand, gold, the ultimate risk-off safety net, is also at all-time highs. One market is screaming growth, the other is quietly preparing for trouble.
And this just isn't normal. Historically, markets pick a mood. Either everyone's optimistic and stocks go up, or everyone's scared and gold goes up. You don't usually get both hitting record highs at the same time. It's a sign of some deep, profound confusion about what's coming next.
All right, so let's pull all these threads together. After all of this, what's the final verdict? What's really going on? The real story is this. What we're seeing is not a panic. It is a calculated, strategic move. The central banks aren't reacting to a crisis that's happening right now. No, they are proactively positioning themselves for a future that they are clearly becoming less and less sure about. They're hedging their bets.
And that's really the key takeaway here. The record price of gold, that's just a symptom. It's a number on a screen. The real story, the one you need to be watching, is who is doing all this buying, the people who manage the global economy, and why they're doing it. Because their faith in the system we all rely on is quietly starting to waver.
And that leaves us with one pretty heavy question to think about. What happens when the people in charge of the entire global financial system start quietly losing faith in that very system? This isn't some fringe theory. It's a multi-trillion-dollar shift happening in plain sight. And when the biggest players on the board start moving their pieces like this, it's a signal we should all be paying attention to.